So, third take, because I keep screwing stuff up. Someone asked me to talk about bone roll and how it affects physbones. Say you have an avatar here with a single hair root that you're doing, all of your hair on, which is what I'm doing in this case. I don't have any pitch or roll or yaw, and I'm using an angle limit to prevent the hair from clipping into my head, which is should be the default practice for making sure, stuff doesn't clip into your head in easy cases like this. Collider's old and busted. Max angle, new hotness. Anyways, it's not quite new hotness yet with this model because they all move in the same direction, which if I offset it like this, I mean, I'm doing it at an extreme angle here. If I offset it here, it makes sense for the front here. If I do like a full side view, like the bone is, let's change the pitch a little bit here to be half of that. So negative like 15 or negative like 25. So look at this kind of first one here. This angle makes sense because if it goes any farther backwards than this, it'll clip into my head. But I want to let it go forward a good bit. Again, exaggerating a bit here. But yeah, like you want to be able to angle that limit. But you'll notice that like this screws up for the back bones. Now this bone back here is limited to only clipping into the head. We don't want that. Now you can't apply these individually, like to each individual physbone, because then you would have to have a component for each individual physbone. If you're doing that, please stop it. That is not even, I mean, at that point, that's not even a performance problem. You're just doing a bunch of work you don't need to. Let me show you how to do that so that you don't have to do it. So let's switch over to Blender really quick. I'm in Blender, and I'm sure some people are groaning why they can't just do it all in Unity. Same reason you don't make a website in Word. You can, but you really shouldn't. There is this thing called a bone axis and bone rolls. It's just basically the local axis of each individual bone. Sorry, I skipped over a part there. By default, this is what bones look like with just like the cat's default settings, which is what I still use. To turn it on, you just select your armature in either edit or object mode, and you go to axes right here, and you click on just the checkbox here. You'll see that there is a Z, a Y, and an X axis with the each direction is pointing in the positive direction for that bone. Important to know, the default FBX export settings will flip the Z-axis direction so that Z is forward this way instead of this way. So basically think of this being negative Z. So if you're following along, you'll remember that like, oh, wait, if we rotate, along the pitch axis here, that's what the max angle was doing, right? But we don't want to do that for every bone. Like if we rotate along the x-axis here, now it's going this way, which makes no sense. Or worse, if we do it on the back, then we can't use the same limit. So we need to change the way that Z points. This is really easy. All you have to do is hit Control R, which rotates the bone roll. And there you go. You just basically point that Z inwards towards the root bone on all these. Now, when you rotate along the x-axis for the local bone, this might not work so well with in Blender. Oh, right, I have to switch it to normal, not local. You'll see that it rotates away from the head, like that. So basically, you just go through all of your bones that are parented to the whatever parent you have, your hair root or skirt root or whatever, and you do this and point the Z towards that root. When you export the FBX, it will end up being, it'll end up having the pitch axis facing outward, which is what you want. You could turn it the other way around. I don't know. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. You would just change the sign of your pitch in Unity. Now that I think about it, that's not really important, but just make sure you're consistent. I just use Z pointing inwards because it's a lot easier to angle that. The only exception here, or rather not exception, but a complicated case is when you have a bone that has multiple children. Here's a bone right here that is animated as a physbone. If I hit Control G or Shift G and click on children, you can see that there are several children down here. What I have to do, if I just set the bone roll of this, it doesn't set the children because we are moving bones. We are not posing bones. Select the children by hitting Shift G, clicking on children, hit Control R, and just rotate that way. And just, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like just keep it so that in this particular case, I don't want the bones clipping into the face, so I just make the Z arrows point roughly into the face. So anyways, I'm going to go through and rotate all these right now, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in Unity once you're done. So one moment. One more thing that I will cover before we continue on into Unity. You don't have to be precise with this. Like, just whip it around and you'll be fine. Like, just, okay, yeah, cool. That's roughly, approximately correct. You don't need to be super accurate with this. It does not matter. So anyways, you can see that I have them all rotated here in Blender. So let's go ahead and get them into Unity. All right, and now that I am finished and I've imported to Unity and the annoying kid with the Subaru is done driving around my house, we can go ahead and take a look at the result. So again, we've rotated all these bones inward. Let's go ahead and pitch the bones. And whoa, they are all rotating away from the head, which is really powerful. Now, instead of me having to, find an angle that is going to make it so, I get a little bit of movement, but also I don't push all my hair outward, I can increase my angle by a good amount, say by 20 degrees, and change my pitch to 10 degrees and some change, and allow a little bit of inward movement and a lot of outward movement. Now these bones down here are on a separate chain, so I'll just take this peach value. Here we go. And yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Which hair root is this one on? That's on that side. So we can actually pitch it a little bit. We can take a look at how that looks. Oh, did I forget that one? Oh, we did forget that one. I'll go back and fix that in a moment. Let's take a look at this one. So here we go. We'll pitch this one. Now that one's moving a little bit more what I expect it to. So again, that one is pitching away, and you probably don't want to exceed, like your pitch value here should not exceed half of your max angle, otherwise, or roughly. I think there's a little bit more room than that, because otherwise you'll be forcing the rest position away from what it should be. But yeah, that is how at least I do things. There's probably an easier way to do these things, or maybe even automate these steps. Oh, I'm breaking my own rule here. Let's change that there. But yeah, that should help you make avatars that don't need colliders to prevent stuff from clipping. But yeah, there you go. Bye.